and this is Let's Talk Pets on Society Bites Radio. Today we welcome to the show Carmen Brothers and Bob Swenson from the Lost Animal Resource Group. And this organization was founded by 4 dedicated animal rescuers, Bob Swenson, Carmen Brothers, Jill Barsky, and Denise Harris. And together they have over 20 years of experience in lost pet recovery and are able to provide services nationwide with a focus on the East Coast. They assist with community outreach, strategic trapping, and pet tracking. They help all types of pets, not just dogs. And Bob is also able to design and construct a variety of traps, including missy traps for hard-to-catch animals. Many of us aren't familiar with missy traps, so we'll have him tell us what that's all about. But recently, as you've listened to our last couple weeks' shows, I hope, we've been talking about shy dogs and using feeding stations and trapping pets. So I wanted to talk with Carmen and Bob today because many people have been adopting pets during the pandemic, and they are a huge flight risk. So I'm glad to have them with us today, and welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I've had Carmen on before, but Bob, I haven't had you on before. So why don't you tell us how y'all started this Lost Animal Rescue Group?
Well, there is, such a need for lost pet professionals in every community. And Bob and I met through a group called Missing Animal Response Network. And they provide training and on trapping and lost pet behaviors and that kind of thing, and realized that we were geographically very close to each other. And with me providing tracking and him providing tracking, it just seemed to make sense that we kind of combine forces, if you will, and, tag team it together.
That makes sense.
We have Jill and Denise. Jill also does trapping and feeding stations and that kind of thing. And then Denise does a lot of our behind-the-scenes work.
And she also does trapping.
And she also does trapping with, flyers, community outreach, social media, and, like Bob said, trapping as well.
And it's really like a family, and I'm just really good friends who support each other and help each other in every way that we can.
Okay, so since you cover a couple of different states, right, you obviously are in the same state because you're sitting right next to each other. But what about Jill and Denise? Are they local as well, or are they in different states?
Jill, go ahead.
So everybody is in Maryland. Carmen is in Virginia.
I see. Okay.
But we also have resource partners in many different states that we coordinate and work with.
Oh, good. Okay. So, what is your background in getting into this, that you met together at this trapping the Marn? What was it, a workshop or something? The training workshop, and how did you go about? What was your background to get you there in the first place?
Well, I myself did a lot with rescue. With City Dogs Rescue in Washington, D.C. specifically. And I kind of started helping them with their lost dog, the one lost dog they had at the time, and got into the kind of just the logistics of it with, the flyering, the trapping, the tracking portion of it, and just kind of seeing how it all came together. And just kind of went from there. It was just a passion that I followed.
Yeah. And Bob, what about you?
So my wife and I have been fostering, adopting, rescuing for many years, and then one of the dogs we adopted got out, and the woman literally just walked in her door and closed the door and didn't do anything. So I know. I started a 4-month trek of learning, following a tracker, learning about posters, feeding stations, cameras, traps, finding out where they are. Doing a lot of community outreach and things like that. And just once we got her safe, then I kind of just started helping and giving advice to other people. I learned about missing animal response, did some training there, also, worked on the traps and things like that. And just, I guess the word got around that I was able to help people. And I think a lot of it is just being available. and having equipment and kind of knowing what to do.
Yeah. So talk about how busy you are right now. Have you seen have you seen like an increase because of, more people are they were fostering during the pandemic and continue to help the local shelters and rescues. So do you think it's just a lot more going on right now?
I have never seen it this bad. It is an epidemic. It's probably, I don't know, maybe twice as bad as it has been in the past few years. And a lot of it is just people not thinking, or, a lot of irresponsibility. There's been a few accidents that we worked on. And I think the biggest thing is educating people of what to do, what not to do, and hopefully how to keep them safe and keep them from getting out.
Yeah. I think the whole educating people is very important. And I tend to think that there's not enough of that on the front end, and so the people in the lost pet recovery end of it are stuck with, doing what we all do to bring them back home. But let's just touch on this a little before we really get into your tracking and your trapping. Like, what should people do? What do you suggest right now for anybody listening? If you are going to adopt a dog, have a foster, especially that are high flight risks, how do you avoid this from happening where somebody would need you? Not that I want to not give you business, but I know I want to be shut down. I don't want to keep helping. I want lost pets to not get lost.
Right.
Totally agree. Totally. So we don't charge for the trapping end of it. And it can get very expensive, especially long-term dogs or cats. So, yeah, we would like that no pets got out. But I think the biggest thing is people don't understand the shutdown period. Some rescues don't do a good job informing people who are adopting or fostering what to do, what not to do. And even when they do, a lot of adopters and fosters don't listen or don't really hear it. So they're thinking, oh, it's a dog. I can let it out my backyard. It'll go potty and come right back in the house. And they need to understand it's like one of us being just taken out of where we are, dropped in the middle of China, where we don't know the people, we don't know the language, we don't know the area, and we're, might be a little intimidating or scared. So we always recommend collar, properly fitted collar, harness, 2 leashes, giving them space and time to adjust to the new place. Some people recommend a few days. We would prefer several weeks at least, where you don't walk them anywhere other than around the house. You always double leash them when taking them out. You guard the doors or find another way to go in and out of the house. You give them space. You work with them. And, like no visitors immediately, just let them have time to adjust.
Right. No dog parks, no stressful situations and whatnot. A lot of people, especially holiday weekends or whatever, 4th of July, for instance, is obviously a big one. Oh, yeah, I just adopted this dog a month ago. It's great. He was a street dog in Puerto Rico or wherever. And so he loves everybody. It's great. We're going to go out and go see the fireworks. And obviously I'll bring the dog with me, not knowing that, that first firework that goes off, that dog's going to bolt. And if you're not holding on tight, you're going to drop that leash. And then it's, who knows? It can take, I'm still working on a couple dogs that were lost over the 4th of July. I know we both are.
Yeah.
And no retractable.
Yeah, retractable leashes are not good for much of anything.
No, I know. That's terrible. They flop along behind the poor dog and it just scares them farther on the way. Right. So when do you feel, when someone loses a pet, why is it that the dog tracking is so important? And when would you say it's not, that you wouldn't want to use it?
Well, there are a couple different situations that I would not recommend bringing in a tracking dog. Anytime that the dog is lost in, or, around a very large, like a busy road, a highway or something like that, you don't want a tracking dog to come in there and invade whatever little bubble of safety they've kind of created for themselves. And when when a random dog in person comes into that area, we're going to flush that dog before we even get eyes on the dog. And a lot of times the dog could get flushed onto the highway. just because they're scared. They're sensing something different in the area. They're not making good decisions, and they run out onto the highway. Another time would be when a lot of times I get calls. Well, yeah, I saw him on my patio 2 days ago, and we know where he is. We just can't get him. If you know where the dog is, there's really not much of a need to bring a tracker in. That's when Bob would come into play with trapping. And a lot of people just don't understand the difference between trapping and tracking. I try not to be able to provide somebody with any new information. I really try to, push them towards the trapping portion of it and get feeding stations out and getting cameras out and, getting scent items out and that kind of thing before they want to bring a dog out.
Yeah. So here's a question for you, because we have had several cases here where people have hired, I'm down in Florida. People have hired trackers. I'm not sure who they are, where they came from, but none of them were successful. And how do you know who you're hiring is actually, somebody that is a professional that you can trust, is going to do the job and knows exactly what they're doing?
Well, first of all, I think there is there's different definitions of success. As far as a tracking standpoint, obviously, yes, getting the dog home would be successful. But a lot of people don't understand that, if I come out with a tracking dog, I'll give you, where the dog has been. And then based on my education and experience, likely where the dog may continue to go, where to set up feeding stations and that kind of thing. If the owner waits, 48 hours to actually do those things, it's very possible your dog is again moved on.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of it kind of comes back to the owner per se and them wanting to put the effort forth to bring their dog home. I would say, just do your research. MissingAnimalResponse.com has a pet detective directory. Everybody on there is professional. They sign a code of ethics. They have completed some form of, educational pieces on lost pet behavior and lost pet trapping and tracking. It just kind of depends. And again, a lot of times owners will think that, okay, I paid for a tracker to come out and I don't have my cat still. Well,
yeah,
correct. I mean, that doesn't mean it wasn't successful. That just means that whomever you spoke to didn't do a good job of educating you on what to expect during the track. I tell people up front, and, one of the first things I say is that we normally do not find your pet on the track unless they are deceased or physically unable to move.
Yeah.
Because that pet is against me and a dog coming into that area, like I said, way before I get eyes on them, and they're going to move. And so if your dog's healthy, or your cat or your goat or whatever is healthy and actively, turtle is actively moving, the odds of you walking up on that pet during the track are slim to none.
Yeah.
Has it happened? Yes. And is that a wonderful thing? Absolutely. But, the times it has happened, I would say, I don't know, only 75% of the times it's happened have we actually been able to capture the dog while I'm actually physically there.
Yeah.
A lot of times, dog, and again, they're in flight mode, so they're not recognizing their owner by sight or sound, and they're 5 feet away, and they get a glimpse of us, and they turn around and they bolt the other way.
Right. Yeah, and I totally agree with you, the point you made about it's up to the owner to put the effort forth. Sometimes I think they rely too heavily, on others to do their job. So it's very important that, they listen to you or to Bob as the experts in the field and do exactly what you tell them to do after you've done the steps that you take. I mean, that is in itself, the majority, I think, of getting the job done is just, the educating the owner. And we can't make them do it, but, that's the point. They have to do it. They have to do what you say.
And a lot of times, that's what